Congratulations to the ODEMSA region. We know how hard the last year was because we were right there with you. And a huge congratulations goes out to every single person in the region that was involved, no matter how small. Each and every communications officer, EMT, paramedic, firefighter, nurse, doctor, administrator, or a host of others that played any role in the care of patients in the region during the extended Code Black situation. You all should be proud to be a part of this region.
We also would like to thank the agency and hospital representatives that spent hours and days reviewing plans, asking the hard questions, and making the best decisions for the region, as they always do. The innovation in EMS that our region has benefited from over the past few years is a true testament to how great our ODEMSA region is and how well we can all work together to provide an efficient and effective EMS delivery system across the region. Let's go live to the ODEMSA office to the Executive Director of ODEMSA, Heidi Hooker.
In the fall of 2021, due to a perfect storm of COVID cases, there was an unusually high volume of patients, and hospitals were alarmingly short-staffed to handle that volume. This was not unique to our region. The same storm affected health systems the same way across the nation. For those that don't know, EMS personnel must give a detailed report of the patient condition and treatments they performed to ER staff before leaving the patient. Throughout the United States, EMS personnel were waiting sometimes 2 to 4 hours or more to give this report and offload the patient in the emergency department. This delay, often referred to as wall time, caused a chain reaction. Because EMS crews were stuck in the ERs, it then left communities short EMS services. ODEMSA already had plans in place to address situations when hospitals become oversaturated. When a certain number of hospitals reflect this status, it triggers a Code Black status in the region. Once in Code Black, under normal circumstances, VCU Medical Center begins the process of evenly distributing ambulances to hospitals with the goal of de-stressing the system. In the past, Code Black status lasted no more than 48 hours. Also in the past, Code Black was only activated once or twice every few years. In the fall of 2021, the ODEMSA region entered Code Black and did not come off that status for 6 months uninterrupted. As the days passed, it became necessary to call in assistance to run the operation. The regional diversion plan was intended for short-term activations. After running for a continuous 2 weeks, VCU requested staffing assistance.
I was the VCU communications manager for 14 years, and our role was to gather all the information for patients coming to VCU health system and distribute them out to the right area of the hospital. Our other role is to do patient distribution for the region when we have a mass casualty incident or something like occurred with the extended Code Black. We were not geared for an extended stay, but VCU stepped up and said, hey, we're in for the long haul, and we'll support the region with anything that we can. And so we took our staffing in conjunction with ODEMSA and Hospital Coalition, and we all got together and decided what was needed, and we started staffing the patient distribution center 24/7 so that we didn't overload anybody or any particular hospital. Worked great. It was more than we had anticipated. It went a lot longer than we had anticipated. Luckily, other people in the region, the ODEMSA staff, stepped up and said, hey, we can help. So we split the duties, or split the staffing, probably 2 weeks after we got into it, and that certainly helped a lot.
It also became apparent to the ODEMSA staff, with the longevity of the event, that the operation needed enhanced to run more efficiently. The ODEMSA staff ramped up a communications center within the ODEMSA office and began dispatching ambulances from our office. Equipment to run the operation was borrowed from the Central Virginia Healthcare Coalition.
It was a great pleasure for the Central Virginia Healthcare Coalition to participate in the ODEMSA Regional patient distribution process. We feel very honored to be recognized as part of this effort. Regionally, the Healthcare Coalition provided a lot of data resources, a lot of phone and technology resources, some radio connectivity, and different types of processes which helped enhance the regional patient distribution system. It converted during the process from a paper process to an electronic process, which now we value very much in our region, and it has allowed us to do patient distribution from either an MCI standpoint or a regular surge that might be a slow rolling surge or an emergent surge.
Right, and we got to be a part of the planning process, working on the divergent plan for the region, and we got to monitor the status of hospitals and emergency departments throughout the region, and we were able to monitor VHAS to see where we were in the region in terms of throughput in our emergency departments to determine if we needed to go from stage green to stage red or stage black.
Phone systems in the ODEMSA office were updated with the help of the Virginia EMS Council's IT assistants.
I became responsible for basically implementing a patient distribution center within the Old Dominion EMS Alliance to assist VCU with their patient distribution abilities due to their staffing limitations. And during that time period, I was responsible for basically any technology that we needed. I worked with the Central Virginia Hospital Coalition with Jordan and Chris to help them to implement their patient distribution dashboard, make sure that it was what we needed for our patient distribution center and the region. In addition, I worked really close with our state IT person for the regional councils, making sure that our phone systems were able to handle the call loads that we had, and I also worked with Jessica Goodman to make sure that we had a robust scheduling system that was able to be easily updated and push notifications out to any volunteers or other personnel that were assisting in the PDC so we could cover shifts when needed. About a month or two into the regional patient distribution, that we would need to start doing some type of continuity of operations plan. So at that time, we decided we needed to have the ability for at least our staff and some of the volunteers to be able to take phone calls for the PDC when they were working from home or remotely.
During the time with the Patient Distribution Center, Heidi asked for me to go over to VCU and have their staff to go over with me how the process worked in their Patient Distribution Center. I then took that information and I came back and gave the knowledge to the staff, and we sat down and we implemented a process to build a patient distribution center within ODEMSA. We then realized quickly that with only having seven staff members within our office, that we needed some additional volunteers from the community. We enlisted the help of our hospital partners, the liaisons, CVHC, and some providers from the area who had came in and volunteered on their own time. I took a big part in doing the scheduling, training, and onboarding all of our volunteers. I assisted with implementing the COOP plan with those who had the capabilities and were able to work from home and answer phones to be able to keep us going. Because during this time when we were in the patient distribution center, we did have a hurricane. We had a couple of snowstorms, and there were some other challenges that we faced along the way. And we were able to continue to answer the phone lines in a seamless manner, working alongside of VCU. Also, while we were in the patient distribution center, we realized that there was an opportunity for us to utilize our standalone emergency departments throughout the region a little bit more than what they got used on a normal day-to-day basis. Our providers were able to take more of those low acuity patients to those facilities so that the main hospital could decompress a little while at the same time being able to take care of those critical patients that were going to be admitted and be there for many days.
With the help of Jordan Rennie and Christina Clark, a new, more efficient dashboard was created to assist communication staff to easily determine the best destination.
I was the CVHC RCC manager at the time, and worked on a number of different projects and roles in the Patient Distribution Center. And my partner in crime here worked along with me on a number of those projects.
To basically take a lot of the paperwork, a lot of the forms that they used in the PDC Center and automated it. Worked with a lot of the groups on what processes worked or didn't work and canvassed everybody and figured out how we can make it more efficient and better and developed some dashboards over a few months.
Yeah, so we worked through a whole bunch of use cases and looked at how things were done, previous processes, and then looked at how we could improve those processes. So we previously had numbers that were based on how many patients a facility could receive and things like that. And those numbers were then what fed into the dashboard, which became a little bit more dynamic and capable as we moved on, especially thanks to Chris and her coding. And we were able to create forms and dashboards that fed the information, the flow, the workflows, and patient distribution that occurred throughout the region.
We took advantage of S3's ArcGIS platform. They have a suite of dashboards and forms and all sorts of behind-the-scenes technology and coding. So we basically spoke with them, and just from previous experience, we pulled out whatever would make the process more efficient.
Previously, the paper process was basically just looking at when somebody calls, where could a patient go within the last hour. Very simple. The trouble is that there was obviously the paper transfer that you had between different call centers and different people that were doing those that patient distribution throughout different events historically. The dashboard that Chris and I made took that information and would make it a little bit more dynamic. So instead of having to look through a list of facilities and patients that have been distributed and everything, the dashboard would give you indicators that would either flash or not flash or show different colors, would show you how many patients had been distributed to a facility within a certain period of time. All that information was also filterable and used a form that was built into the ArcGIS platform that allowed anybody who was doing patient distribution to be able to see from anywhere the information that was being distributed. So, and that informed the patient distribution center on staffing and a number of different other things.
And so one of the key events from this project was that we took away the 3 a.m. head math, which was very favorable. We got a lot of really good reactions from that. So it would basically do everything for you. We use color indicators. The form was standardized, so even though we had a lot of volunteers helping us, they had a standard form to read off of, and it sped up the process for them to take the call. It was a really great experience. It's not very often you get to develop something like this and actually get to work it and tweak it and really understand the needs of the people. So it was really enjoyable to really work with everybody from across the region and learn best practices from everybody. And we were able to tweak the boards to make it as fast, as useful, as easily understood by everybody who came in to help out.
Yeah, we were able to beta test it for a while when the PDC was still doing the older, the paper-based function. So it was when we were able to really put it live that we were able to see and work through some issues that came up. Nothing big, but we were able to move on with it pretty quickly.
The ODEMSA Diversion Committee began meeting weekly to determine the best course of action, and the ODEMSA Board of Directors supported the effort every step of the way.
I oversee several of the ODEMSA committees, one of them being the Hospital Diversion Committee. The purpose of that committee is that they hold the regional diversion plan, and its purpose is to allow hospitals to decompress when the EMS system becomes saturated. I worked with our agencies and hospitals to help the plan go into effect with monthly and sometimes weekly conference calls to help keep the system running smoothly.
Hospitals participated by opening up every square inch of their hospitals to hold patients. They were active participants on the diversion committee and provided staff to man the communication center.
Over the course of the past year, the healthcare industry has certainly been challenged in more ways than we ever anticipated. And specifically here in the Richmond region, we had a number of our facilities that all went on EMS Divert at the same time. And through the protocols and policies we had in place, as we all know, we quickly stood up the PDC, the Patient Distribution Center. With that, we had a number of volunteers from throughout the entire community that all banded together to support us when we needed it most.
In the Richmond area, we are so blessed to have an entity like ODEMSA. The foundation of their success, though, is built on the people and the support that they offer this community from a patient's entire healthcare journey. Brandon and I are so thrilled and so thankful for the HCA colleagues that banded together to give nights, weekends, and days to support ODEMSA and the Patient Distribution Center so that we continued as a region to effectively facilitate care.
While it was helpful to have the PDC, in my opinion, one of the best parts of the PDC is that we don't have the PDC anymore. And so, given that we were able to collaboratively come together and put together a structured process in place to essentially dissolve the PDC, has been incredibly helpful for all involved. What we quickly learned as we brought all the volunteers together is that it was not a sustainable solution long term. And so we are incredibly appreciative to the teamwork between all health systems as well as the volunteers to build out that plan to put us in a position where it's not needed anymore.
The Bon Secours EMS coordinators, including Amy Howard from St. Mary's and Short Pump Freestanding, participate as members of the ODEMSA Diversion Committee, which oversees the regional diversion plan. During the extended Code Black in 2021-22, we were called upon to assist in the Patient Distribution Center in addition to our EMS coordinator roles. Our contributions to the PDC was to act as communication officers and work to distribute patients in the region to EDs in an attempt to stem oversaturation of the facilities. It was our pleasure to assist the region as the EMS liaisons as well as fellow EMS providers.
As the event proceeded, volunteers were requested, and we received those from Community Emergency Response Teams, or CERT, and from providers that were off duty.
I was a volunteer for the PDC, and it was an honor to be asked to come in and help the Patient Distribution Center during such a critical time that they were in. I think the background of being a dispatcher when I was young helped me understand what was going on. They brought us in. We were able to step right into the aspect of taking phone calls and from the EMS providers that were out there in the field trying to look for a place to take their patients. And so we were able to really do some good work in that. You could tell that, I mean, the EMS providers, they knew when they called us that, you know, we were able to provide them with so much detail of where they could go. And I think it was a sense of relief on their end to be able to do that, to have that ability just to make that one phone call and not have to shop around for where they wanted to go.
Richmond Ambulance offered a program developed by Tom Luden called RICView that helped determine hospital wall time.
Well, we noticed early on during the crisis, because it was a crisis and the system was slowing down, that we needed better intelligence of how long it was taking our units to get through the hospitals and which units we had at each hospital to balance load. So since we already had an existing website, we added on a page. We at Richmond EMS wanted to provide a tool to allow the hospitals and the EMS services and the central leadership to see how long it was taking the ambulances to clear the hospitals, which would give a good idea if the hospital was too busy or too many patients, and we could shift ambulances to other hospitals to try and balance the load. In short, RICView showed hospital turnaround times in a visual tool to see how long it was taking for patient turnover.
EMS providers from the entire region participated by calling the Patient Distribution Center to determine the best place to take patients. As we've just described, to run the operation, it took teamwork from every agency in the region. And with that said, this award is presented to the Old Dominion EMS Alliance.
Thank you, Heidi. And to the person that nominated us. It's the ODEMSA mission to coordinate, plan, and implement an efficient and effective regional EMS delivery system. On behalf of the ODEMSA Board of Directors and the ODEMSA Diversion Committee, who oversees the ODEMSA diversion and destination plans, I accept this award with gratitude. Operating the Patient Distribution Center for a little over half a year was a shining example of how regional planning and partnership should work. ODEMSA accepts this award on behalf of everyone and every agency that participated.
We were glad to be there, VCU was glad to be there and step up and help any way we could. I really appreciate you guys taking the time to say thank you. We're here to support everybody, and hopefully we can continue in the future.
The responsiveness of all parties involved was invaluable. People were very flexible, had positive attitudes in a very stressful time.
We're so thankful for everybody's efforts to continuously improve the health and well-being of the people that we serve.
On behalf of Bon Secours Health System, we appreciate the opportunity to join the PDC team.
It was a stressful time for the emergency departments as well as their EMS crews, and together, the Richmond Health Systems, ODEMSA, and a group of volunteers joined forces, which was unprecedented.
It is a privilege to be part of this team and assist our local EMS partners. Thank you for the recognition for this regional award, and remember that good health begins with EMS.
Thank you for recognizing us for the efforts that we put forth. It really was a collaborative regional effort, and it was an honor to be able to sit in the Patient Distribution Center to take calls from EMS providers and to help distribute patients throughout this event.
And we just want to say thank you to the community, the EMS community, and for this recognition to the Healthcare Coalition. And we continue to be here to be a partner in their community for emergency preparedness.
So altogether, it wouldn't have been possible if everyone hadn't worked together. If all the EMS providers hadn't called into the hotline, if we didn't have individuals that were willing to be a patient distributor or dispatcher, PDC dispatcher, and it took hospitals and EMS agencies and other regional partners to come together to really allow this whole thing to work for greater than 6 months.
It really was such an incredible experience, just from the programming side of it, but also to meet with the region of first responders, their experiences, their best practices, and lessons learned from this experience, a 6-month event. It was very incredible.
I really enjoyed having the opportunity to use our skills and our technology to help the PDC and everyone else try and smooth what was going on during the time, and I'm very thankful for this recognition.
On behalf of the ODEMSA staff, it was our mission and honor to participate in the Patient Distribution Center.
And we would like to recognize the efforts of the region's EMS providers. We thank you.
On behalf of the ODEMSA staff, it was our mission and honor to participate in the Patient Distribution Center.
And we would like to recognize the efforts of the region's EMS providers. We thank you.